How the heck do I do research? Now I'm going to start at the very beginning of the process, and it's probably not what you're expecting to hear. This may be a bit shocking, and I'd advise elderly members of the audience to take a seat first, maybe check their blood pressure before I get to it. We good? Everyone sitting comfortably? Okay, the absolute first step to any research project is Wikipedia. No, really, I learned this in university, from a real professor and everything. We all learned years ago that you're never supposed to cite Wikipedia, and this is completely true. Nobody trusts it as a source. It'd be like citing something you read off the side of a subway car. But what Wikipedia is good at is directing you to actual sources. Right at the bottom in that sweet little references section is a goldmine of all kinds of sources, and even better, the content of the article tells you what kind of information you can expect to find in those sources, and sometimes even what pages they're on. It's fantastic. You can get books, websites, translated primary sources, anything and everything from the reference section. So as you go through the relevant Wikipedia pages, any information that catches your eye will have a nice little citation on it. So grab that sucker and add it to the list. And when I say pages plural, I mean it. Pretty much everything has its own dedicated Wikipedia page, except for us. But that single page isn't going to be enough to get the full picture. You want to find every page that relates to the subject matter, important places, related people or groups, relevant time periods, stuff like that. Broadly, you want to get as much related stuff as you can, since that'll let you contextualize the subject. Learning about it in isolation only gives you a fragment of the whole picture. Get greedy with it. You want to know everything about this subject, and that means you don't need to skimp on the sources you pull together. So once you've combed through every tangentially related Wikipedia page on your chosen subject, noted down a list of promising sources and what you expect to find in them, that's when you enter stage 2, hunting down some sweet sources. So now you've got a list of sources you think will lead to more information, and the odds are good most of them are going to be books. So you can either check your local library catalog and see if they have the sources you need, or you can give the titles a Google and see if you can find them online. Legally, of course. Sometimes Google Books has a preview available, and sometimes it even contains the pages you need. But mostly you're going to be looking for ebooks or library copies. Now this advice all applies pretty much universally. No matter what you're trying to research, the process of finding sources is usually going to boil down to find a library or Google it and get really lucky. But let's say, for the sake of specificity, you're researching something historical. Like a mythological figure, for example. In cases like this, you're going to need to start dealing with primary and secondary sources. Now, broadly, if you're studying a historical thing, the primary sources are going to be stuff that was written directly about that thing from people who were point blank on the thing or otherwise had first-hand experience with its thingness. The secondary sources are the stuff written about the primary sources, and thus they're at least one degree of separation away from the original thing. And the number one rule in any kind of research is you always want to find the primary sources first. If they still exist, they don't always. If you're trying to learn about something and you have the option of reading a bunch of first-person accounts of that thing or a book somebody wrote about those first-person accounts of that thing, choose the first-person accounts. It'll take longer to get through, but you'll get a much more accurate perspective. No text is free from bias, but the farther away the writer was from the subject they're writing about, the more bias will be present in their interpretation. It's like in the giant n-dimensional game of telephone that is history, the actual thing you're trying to research is the starting person, and the primary sources are all the people right next to the starting thing who probably heard it pretty clearly, but all the secondary sources are from farther down the line, where you're starting to get garbled interpretations of interpretations, and maybe somebody along the way started actively messing with the other players by not actually repeating what they heard in the first place, and it's a mess.
Alright, so what we about to do is jump right into this real clean and straight to the point, because it's very important that this information is dissected in chronological order. So what we'll do is we'll jump down to the first page out of his book. Alright, so here you see at the top, possible originators of Nawapu/Nupu philosophy. Now, you've seen the beginning of the book or the video I put in there about researching and stuff like that. The first thing is, look at, he got the word possible, so he doesn't know. So that, again, we keep telling he's a trash researcher, and we've been doing that all along. Just like he done went and put Asaph Reginald Eves, rest in peace, picture in the book, and we did research, and thanks to Mark Love, found out that that's who that was, not Afro.
Welcome back to the hot seat. Today is going to be a great day. But before I get into that, I want to talk to you for a moment about registering to vote. As I've said to you every month, you made history 4 years ago. You put Obama in, and you kept talking about Clinton being the first black president. The first black president is Obama. President Obama. Now, don't forget that. Get out of that couch, off that couch, go to the polls, take 5 people with you, and vote. Not only that, we got great local races, especially in Clayton County, and that's what we're
which we told y'all, you can visually see that. But again, we follow sound reasoning. That's who helped us. Again, shout out to Mark Love in the Noon group for that. All right. So when you use the word possible, right? That's not sure. Okay. All right. Possible basically means able to be done within the power, capacity of someone or something. A person or thing that has the potential to become or do something, especially potential candidate for a job or membership on a team. That's what that means. So this don't even make no sense. Because we know this guy doesn't do any real research. All right. The etymology of possible is that may be capable of existing, occurring, or being done. The only kind of object which in strict proprietary language can be called possible is the truth of a proposition. When a kind of thing is said to be possible, that is to be regarded as an elliptical expression, meaning that it is of such general description that we do not know it does not exist. So an event or act is said to be possible, meaning that one would not know that it would not come to pass, but it is incorrect to use possible, meaning practicable. Possible is what may not or what can be. But again, we know it's not possible because it's a lie based on the first person that he's naming. Now look, it got Nwapu, then Nupu. Look, a misspelling. You don't spell Nupu with an A. All right? And it's not it's Noon science. And Noon science is called a philosophy. All right? But anyway, the first person that he puts, not even the Wapians, old school, know better than this. Everybody knows Sheikh Dawood was a Muslim. And there's nothing outside of Sheikh Dawood ever being anything else. Rest in peace. And if you read the Bible interpretation 1 and 2 in the 9 ball, it's plenty elements in there that's anti-religion. So it's no way he could have been possibly the first person to teach it. Okay? And we did videos already on the next three people. Sun Ra, rest in peace. Pharaoh Sanders, I think he's still alive. And Leon Thomas, rest in peace. I think he passed. All right. Charles and the rest of them who have these books, y'all know darn well that Sheikh Dawood shouldn't even be in the lineup. This is pure trash research. And because he's not in America and he doesn't even know who to contact, this is how you know. Thomas, you've been following York since 1980. If you have, you would have been knew that Sheikh Dawood should have never been in this lineup. All right? Then it goes down. Now, again, he's putting stuff over people in here because York told a lie on a jail interview about the word Nwapu. And if you look on Sun Ra's album and Pharaoh Sanders and them, you see the word Nwapu. And here go to the one of the albums. You can go on YouTube and type in Nwapu and you'll see this record come up and it's reggae. And again, saying students in the 70s. All right. Then you got Obar. Obar is York's older brother. Obar is not teaching that. Obar is into voodoo and stuff like that. There's no teaching that. Noon, Nwapu, if you read the BIA, the 9 ball, whether it's voodoo, which is classified as pantheism, and some people call it a religion, all that stuff falls under 6 ether to 3 ether. Vodun is a 6 ether science. It's the oldest science. I break that down in the Grand Conjunction book that me and Anouk did. I goes into that a little deep about that. And it's also classified as black magic, which is negative. That's not the black magic Noon talks about we supposed to be using. because voodoo or Vodun deals with sacrificing animals, and in certain places on the planet that follows that they sacrifice human beings. And Noon doesn't deal with spirit beings or their sacrifices. These are facts in the book. All right. So again, what we seeing here is the lies, the list of the lies. All right. Now you lying on Sheikh Dawood, which is no documentation ever that's gonna say anything like that. All right. Then you get down to Afro Unu, which is Johnny Eugene Brown, also known as Nubi Ripu. At least he got that right. At least Taharqa understand that. But they one and the same. The obituary clearly tells you the picture of this man here is Afro Unu. All right. So before we even, get into all of the extra, let me just bring this back up. Because again, he just dropped this book in 2021, right? Yorknam put out this information at least over two to 3 years ago. So if he was a real researcher and he been watching my videos and stalking me like if you got the book, because I'm all throughout the book, he been watching it in the videos. I've been made this known before he finished his book. Right? So right here, so what does it say? Verse 174. So they watched and waited to see if it's a Wu Sabat. They knew about Nawapu of Afro Unu. Okay, so York already gave props to Afro Unu as bringing Nawapu, right? So what is this? What is this? How can this be the originator when York already gave proof to this man? And you put this man, the one that made all this possible physically, being the mental writer, is the one that made it possible. None of these people would have knew about Nawapu, York, Sun Ra, Pharaoh Sanders, or Leon Thomas, or Obar, or anybody else, if it wasn't for Afro Unu's early writings. Now look what he said. So did the Nawapu philosophy begin as an underground black conscious fraternity among artists and musicians during the 50s and 60s? No, because the Nine Ball tells you do not join any organization. All right, right here. I'm gonna show you a couple of things about. This is coming out the Nine Ball right here. Introduction to Nine, right? This is what Nine Ball Count 1, right? When you talk about organizations, right? What did it say? Too much stress has been put on the physical by the Ethiopian organizations and not nearly enough on the mentals, while we have not progressed properly towards liberation. For real liberation is mental as well as physical separation from adverse forces, and the mental separation comes first. There's no such thing as successful physical liberation without first having separation come first. There's no such thing as successful liberation, without first having a mental liberation. When we achieve mental liberation, then physical liberation will come natural in the rate of the Ethiopian makes effort in accord with the nine knowledge, that is liberation information. Watch this. Number 17. Those of us who will be liberated must be able to exist like a sun by our individual selves if necessary. That is without visible physical organization. In other words, each one of us who can liberate self must be able to practice liberation knowledge alone, without being a direct member of such physical organization. Non-organization of the mind is prerequisite to physical organization of our physical selves. A sun is self-created, and you can create your own mental self by understanding and adhering to sun knowledge. All right. So again, what we're looking at is the question is this. 1. Did Afro Unu create any organizations? No. He's in line with the books. Did York create organizations? Yes. And you can name them. Right? The book clearly tells you that. Right? That makes no sense. Nawapian Nation, Holy Tabernacle Ministries, all these different organizations is anti what verse number 34 says. So why are y'all in organizations? I've been brought this point up. All right, look at this. As the third law mentioned stated, right? Opposites cannot be equal in the same place at the same time. So why are black people, so-called followers of Dr. York, those who read the 9-Ball book, why are y'all trying to create organizations when the book tells you, right, that the opposites cannot be equal in the same place at the same time? And the question is, are the Caucasian race and the African Ethiopian race opposites? Of course, right? So this shows and proves who really followed what the books were saying. Opposites are what? Oppositions by nature, and Caucasians are what? Oppressive by nature, because they are empowered by what? Graveyard forces. Therefore, they suppress, oppress, and repress as a natural course of action. Caucasians' nature make it impossible to what? Live with him on a what? Equal basis. So all this people running around here talking about they want to be equal, it's not going to happen. That's a law of nature. Okay, look. Right? If we do not have the power to oppress him, he will surely oppress us. Therefore, the best thing for us is what? Racial separation, not racial integration, which is what they're doing now. They're calling it gentrification now, which is racial suicide and genocide, right? So that means you shouldn't be trying to create no organizations in the same place of your opposite enemy by nature, right? 2, you need to be separating, right? Then it says, we know that the so-called civil rights and equal rights by Negro organizations in the United States of America are another what? Cruel hoax perpetrated upon Ethiopian people. Hence, the answer is not civil and equal rights. And Abraham Lincoln made this very clear, but the answer is natural rights is outlined in Liberation Information. Opposites cannot be equal in the same place at the same time because opposites are the reverse of each other by nature. Huh? So the question is, everything York did was over here in America. The book tells you not to create organizations. And this is even when you add in the COINTELPRO, this is bigger than that. It says by nature. Only way we darker peoples can prevent this from happening is understand that the Caucasian is Dracula. Remove the darkness, ignorance in which Dracula must have to prey on his victims. Remove the bootlickers and crooks from power who Caucasian handpick the head black organizations and run puppet parrot governments, reject the outlaw and darken nation and doctrine of the dead called Christianity and Judaism. York created a form of Christianity and Judaism, which means that he's what? Which is simply what is those things? Vampirism. So ain't no way what York did was a school when the 9-Ball clearly states these things should be outlawed and rejected. Afro-Unu did not bring religion. All right? So this is just showing you the foolishness of all you clowns out here talking about organization and York built organizations. He followed the opposite of the Ethiopian race. This is what we talking about. Nupu are, by the sound right reason, in the books deem York an enemy of the Ethiopian race. The book says it. I haven't created no religions. I have not went out here and tried to become no pastor, become no priest, no rabbi. I didn't create no organizations. Please, nigga, please. All right, let's continue. All right. So did the Nwapu philosophy begin as an underground black consciousness fraternity amongst artists and musicians during the 50s and 60s, which York was a student of as a young man during his time as a session musician? He's asking these questions because he's not sure. But he's saying things that the older guys and York himself stated that he didn't do. York said when he got out of jail, he started looking for a place to start teaching, and he went amongst the Moors, he went amongst the Hebrew Israelites, all this stuff. Nowhere in there did York say he went amongst some musicians to try to teach. York said he chose the Ansar Allah sect of Islam, and there's where he started from. So all of this crap Sabian, the WAP, y'all allowing another clown who's using y'all to make money and to put all these unsure questions, because that's what he's doing. And it appears to be the common denominator which connects Afro Unu to those individuals. Therefore, it's also interesting. So there's no connection. Afro Unu lived in Brooklyn until he retired in 1990. We already produced all this evidence. His wife already has said that he did not be around a bunch of people. So that kills all this stuff that they're talking about. His main partners was Sipu and Jipu, the three amigos. And his wife said that Afro Unu was the ringleader. So all of that kills all of this right here. All right? All right, let's move on. All right, now let's go to, again, source material. This is what we're talking about when people don't use source material. All right, here is a book that York put out, Sheikh Daoud versus WD Fraud by Malachi Z. York. And his other books where he talk about Sheikh Daoud, rest in peace. All right, this is source material from the one that actually said he was taught by him. And York never once said that man was teaching Nawapu. York even claimed that he didn't even want to be the successor of Sheikh Daoud, because Sheikh Daoud was teaching Islam. So where is this guy that's all the way overseas doing trash research is now lying on another man that's deceased? All right. So when you get down into this, it just goes into his birth and his connection to the Nation of Islam, Noble Drew Ali, and all of that. And when you read this book, it tells you that Sheikh Daoud got into a beef with the Nation of Islam and started exposing the fact that the god of the Nation of Islam was a Caucasian. You can look at the hair texture, and that's definitely a Caucasian man. That's not even a half black and half white person, because the hair would be frizzy, curly. This is Master Farah Muhammad. This is a Caucasian, no matter what they try to make themselves believe. All right. Once again, go on Scrib and just look it up. It's right there. The book is not going to mention nothing about Nawapu. None of that. All right? This is purely beef between two religions. Well, one is it was religion, Islam, and then the Nation of Islam and stuff was another form of religion, which is a black version of Islam, a black cult, because they still use the Quran. All right. Again, I'm just taking you through the book so you can see it. Nothing in this book deals with that. All right, this is what York said. Let me explain. 2 years after joining the Muslim Brotherhood in Ahmadiyya in the year 1921, at age 34, Abdi, okay, it goes into Fuad Abdi, Ali, my bad. But if you go down further and further, it just gives you the history. That's what it does. This York is writing about Sheikh Daoud and his beef with them. Again, like we said, anybody who has any knowledge of the old school knows that York never said anything different. And Sheikh Daoud was his mentor. That's what he said. It's nothing more to see here. It's nothing else. So the question y'all should be asking this trash researcher, why out of all the people you could have chose, why did you put Sheikh Daoud up there? That's a blatant lie. But you guess what? Because y'all dislike me, y'all gonna sit there and not even call him out and straighten that. This is why we always have something to say to York followers who sit in silence. Y'all don't even correct wrong that's being done with people who are not so-called followers or following what y'all are doing, or outright putting out lies. Charles putting out a lie off a picture that's not Afro-Un, and we prove that. Where's the outrage? This guy here is lying on Sheikh Daoud. Where's the outrage? Two men that had connection with Dr. York and they're being lied on, y'all ain't got nothing to say. This is what make y'all not qualified, and that means people like y'all who New York was molesting them children and hurting people all the way from back in the day, from beating them and taking money from them and all of that, y'all watched inside and said nothing. You was complicit in the wrongdoing. All right? Nawapians, y'all got Sabians, y'all got a history of lying on dead people. It's just, y'all got the same spiritual mindset that York has. Again, these are all the pictures that York was showing. Just look at it. Where's it that Sheikh Daoud was teaching the Wapu? I'm just, somebody need to get back to me on this. There's nothing in here about Sheikh Daoud and the Wapu. All right? Simple. This a lie. Somebody is now lying. Now let's go over here. Ask the Wapu why did York lie on Malcolm X. All right? People lie for many reasons. Some people lie to protect others. For example, you may lie to keep from hurting someone's feelings. Another reason that a person will lie is so that he or she will not get into trouble. It is called being deceitful and conniving instead of facing at what you have done, which is the truthful thing to do. Malachi York, the significance of a lie. He should know he's a liar. All right? It should be no secret to anyone by now that Malachi York would lie, falsify and make up stories on the spot, blatantly lies about ancient and not so ancient history. Here we have yet another nonsensical, pointless lie as told by York. This time it's about the former national spokesperson for the Nation of Islam, our brother Malcolm X, Al-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz. Rest in power. Here we go. Pay close attention because York had the audacity, the shameless gall to claim that while on a pilgrimage to Mecca in the year 1964, he met Malcolm X, and that he taught Malcolm X how to pray, and that Malcolm makes mention of him in the epic book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X. York even documented his words for all to fact check. His claim can be seen and read on pages 106 and 7 of his 1996 book called The Book of the Five Percenters, right? Malcolm X took the opportunity to make the last rite of a Muslim and perform Hajj on April 22nd, 1964 AD to the holy city of Mecca. Messenger Sheikh Daoud, 1891 to 1980 of the State Street Mosque in Brooklyn, New York, made arrangements for him. While in Jeddah, Mecca, he met me. I helped to teach him how to properly make salat, worship. In his book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, he described me the short, dark-skinned Arab. The part about me speaking no English added in because if I did not speak to him in English, I could not teach him his Shahada. Alex Hale added many things in that book to make it sell. All right, Malachi, the book of the 5% of page 107. All right. Mecca, when we enter, seemed as an ancient as time itself. Our car slowed down through the winding streets, lined by shops on both sides, with buses, cars, and trucks, and tens of thousands of pilgrims from all over the earth were everywhere. The car halted briefly in a place where Mutawaf was waiting for me. He wore the white skull cap and long night shirt garb that I have seen at the airport. He was short, dark-skinned Arab named Muhammad. He spoke no English, whatever, excerpt from the autobiography of Malcolm X. All right. Now here we go right here. Knowing the mentality of the Nation of Islam, he knew his attempt to organize outside the Nation of Islam would not be taken kindly. Malcolm X knew that out of loyalty to Master Elijah Muhammad, he could be killed, and a member of the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X, took this opportunity to make his last right of a Muslim to perform Hajj on April 22nd, 1964 AD. So we're just reading down here in the book. All right, over here. Let me try to make this bigger. Messenger Sheikh Dawood of the State Street Mosque in Brooklyn, New York, made the arrangements for him while in Jeddah, Mecca. He met me. I helped to teach him how to properly make salat. In his book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, he described me as a short, dark-skinned Arab. The part about me speaking on English was added in because if I did not speak to him in English, I could not teach him in Shahada. Alex Haiti added many things in that book to make it sell. All right, so this is coming out of your book, the Book of the 5%ers, correct? Now, let's go back down here. All right, so we're going to jump down here. Now let's examine the facts to cast doubt on the story of meeting Malcolm X in Mecca, as well as proving that York could not have been in Mecca during the time Malcolm was there. I urge everyone to get a copy of the autobiography of Malcolm X and read exactly what Malcolm said, and you will see that it does not match York's account. Keep in mind that York doesn't give the page number for the book to verify his claim regarding his meeting with Malcolm X in Mecca, constructing York's lies. All right? Sheikh Dawood of the State Street Mosque in Brooklyn, New York, made arrangements for him. This is false, and Malcolm makes it vividly clear who the person was that made the arrangements for him to make the pilgrimage to Mecca. So he goes down here and break all this stuff down. All right? So he said he was there in 1964 when he went, right? Sheikh Dawood and Malcolm X in 1963 at the United Nations building. And it's sad that they didn't know that the Rockefellers and them started the United Nations building and was behind all of the evils that was going on. And they still was going to this building. These people in that building is not going to fix nothing. They part of the problem. All right, the letter of approval came from Sheikh Muhammad Harkat, as Malcolm explains. The deputy chief of protocol himself took me before the Hajj court. His Holiness Sheikh Muhammad Harkat himself okayed my visit to Mecca. A car driving a guy had been placed at my disposal. All right, so we're just gonna jump all the way down. All right, so York was age 18 in 1964. So the person teaching Malcolm how to play could not have been York. All right, you can just jump all the way down here because York was telling a lie. All right, was Malachi York living in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia in 64? The following are 3 examples of demonstrating how York could not have been in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia in 1964. In 1964, while Malcolm was on his Hajj in April of that year, York was 18 years old, a member of a New York street gang known as the Chaplain. He was a petty criminal in and out of juvenile court. York stated as a child he grew up in New Jersey and went to school there. I spent my adolescent years in Teaneck, New Jersey, with my maternal aunts at 245 Avenue, attended Teaneck Junior High School, a local school. All right, the claim has never been verified. There was no Teaneck Junior High School in that district, but there was a Thomas Jefferson High School. Remember, I already put up the audio where I called the high school that York claimed he went to, and there's no record of him. All right? This is on this YouTube. Go down this YouTube, and I put that up. He lied. He never went there. All right. Grades 5 through 8, and there's a Teaneck Senior High School, ages 9 through 12, established in 1922. However, there's no record of York ever attending. He was first arrested on January 7, 1964 for unlawful entry and served 30 days. Below is York's rap sheet taken from his pre-sentence investigation report. See, 1764 unlawful entry, did 30 days. All right. Then he got arrested in 625, rape, 3rd degree. Y'all better stop this foolishness. York has stated that he was out of the country on only 2 occasions, 73 and 82. I only visited the Sudan in 73 and 82. So where's this stuff coming from that he was in Mecca in 1964 teaching Malcolm X how to pray? If he was released from jail at age 18 in February of 64, Did he rush to go to Mecca and get a job in Saudi Arabia government as an aide guiding pilgrims on the Hajj? And why would the Saudi Arabian official employ recent released American black teen convicted of theft? The man lied. It's that simple. Accept it and keep it moving. That's it. It's a lie. Even when you go into, it talks about when York was first taught Arabic. These are all lies. So, it's nothing else to say. Is that it's just explaining that Taharqa is a trash researcher and he's spreading lies because he's not able to do real research, because all he do is follow people, and the people he contact, they don't give him correct information. Again, York was arrested and spent 30 days in jail January 1964. Malcolm was in Mecca on April 22nd, 1964. York would have had to left America at age 18. So that's the point. So y'all gonna have to prove that York was able to get out of jail and then go all the way over there. It can't be done. The whole thing is a lie. Taharqa, stop with this foolishness. You're a trash researcher. It's easy. Stop lying on dead men, especially dead black men on top of that. Truman to cause them peace in wartime.